Hey, thank you for joining us here on Polk Place. I'm Brian Lacey, and from the Florida Department of Health in Polk County, be Jennifer Brando. She's the preparedness planner for the Florida Department of Health in Polk County. You know what that means? We are in the season. By season, I don't mean that big guy in the red suit.
No.
Last year we caught the fringes of it and were involved in it. Didn't catch it as hard as Fort Myers, but preparation is the key for anything, and especially hurricane season. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that the folks should be preparing for. Talk to me a little bit about anticipation. We're kind of at the start of it. We go until November 30th. So going into the season, what should we be doing?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to remember is our hurricane season June 1st to November 30th, but some of our afternoon storms can pack quite a punch. You know, thunder and lightning and just losing power for a couple of hours. So it kind of preps us to thinking of what we can do for hurricane season. We're late this year, but you know, come January, February, it's a great idea to start hitting the grocery stores and kind of picking up some of these items that you think you might need for hurricane. You know, the canned goods, your automatic can opener, your hand can opener, things that you might want to grill that you can freeze and be prepared to cook. Make sure you have your propane. But you know, the anticipation level has changed. It used to be prepared for 3 days. We're at 7 days.
Yeah.
Now. That's a lot of goods to have on hand, especially if you have a large family to go out and shop for all of that. We need to be conscious of you know, just general weather as well. Look what happened down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
In 7 hours, they received over 26 inches of rain. Over 1,000 people needed to be rescued from their homes just from a rainstorm. I mean, yeah, that happened down there, but you never know what's going to happen. So you really need to do is to have some preparations on hand for the unexpected.
Well, let's talk sheltering as far as Polk County goes. Let's talk a little bit about the shelters. I know you've got one of the famous Publix. Are they still Publix maps?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
And what color are we on?
We're in green this
year.
year.
I think that, what are there, like 5 or 6 colors that they use?
Yeah, and they keep rotating.
Yeah, and they just, yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk shelters, let's talk normal, let's talk animals, and let's talk special needs.
So I think the residents of Polk County actually have 5 options when we're into hurricane season. One would be if you feel safe and secure in your home, to stay home, shelter in place, have your provisions on hand, and stay at home. Another option would be if you're not comfortable staying home, then maybe you could shelter with one of the company or the friends that are, you know, safe, have a good safe home. You could stay there. You could leave. I mean, but you'd have to leave at least 48, 72 hours ahead of a storm to avoid traffic jams to get to where you wanted to go. So you could leave. Another option would be to stay in a hotel if you weren't safe at home. But then again, those hotels have a tendency to book up pretty quick, especially if we have first responders coming into our area who may need to shelter in place before they start helping us get back to normal, putting on electric and things like that. And then the third one would be our public shelters, which include general pop shelters and special needs shelters. So we have 3 special needs shelters in Polk County.
When you speak special needs, you and I know that term, but for those at home that may not understand, what exactly is a special needs shelter?
So our special needs shelters offer a little bit more care above a general pop. So a general pop, you're given a safe haven and you're pretty much on your own. At a special needs shelter, it would be more for the medically vulnerable, the ones that need to have electricity for oxygen, mobility devices, refrigeration for medication, or they might have a wound that needs to be dressed. It just offers a little bit more than than a general pop, but not so much as a medical facility. So it's kind of that in-between shelter, but it's a safe haven. You do need to bring your caregiver with you. That's an important piece. So whoever helps you during the day would need to accompany you to the special needs shelter.
Having SPCA Florida and giving tips for hurricane prep, the question came up after we were done. if you have an animal, can you take an animal to a special needs shelter?
Yeah, that's always a tough topic because everybody loves their animals.
Yep.
But the only animal that's allowed in a special needs shelter is a service dog. It used to be a service dog and a miniature horse, but now I believe it's only a service dog.
Did you say miniature horse?
Yes, yep. They're used primarily for mobility issues.
Really?
Yeah, we've never had one come to Polk County, but it was allowed. But I think that's not allowed anymore, just a service dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
So service dogs can go into the special needs shelter. Now let's talk needs as far as, say you do have an animal but you're not a special needs. What do we have for residents as far as if you do have animals?
Right. So if you were going to go to a general pop shelter, you'd have to look on this map here for the ones that have the paw print. That's the shelter that would accept regular pets, dogs, cats, and birds. And so it's identified with a little paw print. You do have to have certain things available for your dog as well and your cat, which you probably discussed with the SPCA, but it's you have to have your vaccination record, rabies definitely, and you would be taking care of your dog. You need to make sure that you're doing all that, the food and everything.
Yeah.
You bring all of that.
And just as you pack for yourself for 7 days, bring puppy food.
Pack for your
Because there's
dog.
nothing worse than a puppy going house to house going, you got food?
Right, exactly.
I like pizza.
Right, I'll eat that. Yep.
We've been at this for a while, and we've got a lot of new residents to the area. If you could give advice as a person that's been through a lot of these to a new resident, what would it be?
I think do the research and do the walk around to see what's available for Polk County. Now, our special needs shelters and our general pop, those are shelters, but we try to get them to be the last resort. So look elsewhere and make that your last resort. It's not a Holiday Inn, as they say. It is the last resort. So you should look at your other options that we discussed earlier about maybe going to a friend's house, leaving, getting a hotel. Work your way down, and if there's no place else to go, we're here for you. The shelters are available.
Well, Jennifer, always good to see you. I want to thank you for coming in and giving us the great information. As far as the maps go, where can we find those?
Usually they're at the entrance where the carts are in Publix.
And then all the information that they need is in there, right?
Yes, there's phone numbers in here, the addresses and everything for each of the shelters, and actually has a map of where they are in Polk County. So if you're new to Polk County, you can find yourself and find your closest map or shelter that also takes pets or the special needs.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for the great information. And I'm just going to say, I guess I'll see you next hurricane season.
See you next year.
Or I'll see you over at the Florida Department of Health,
There
one
you
way or
go.
the other. But come back and see me again, will you
Thanks,
please?
Brian.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. The health department works closely with the hospitals, medical providers, first responders, emergency medical services, fire rescue, and emergency management, law enforcement, and other community partners to ensure coordination of the health and medical response within Polk County during hurricane season. Now, information about preparing for and responding to natural and man-made disasters can be obtained from the Community Health Preparedness Office in Bartow. That number, 863-519-7900, or you can email Jennifer, jennifer.brandow@flhealth.gov.